Melbourne.
Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Environment and Energy. A number of eminent Australians, including the head of Australia's biggest power company AGL, a former Governor-General and a former head of Telstra, have today urged the government to facilitate the phased and controlled closure of coal-fired electricity. Now that Hazelwood, Australia's dirtiest power station, is to be closed, will the government agree to put into law a plan for the orderly retirement of coal-fired power stations so that workers, communities and clean energy investors can plan for the future? Or will you continue to leave our energy system to the chaos of the market so that decisions about Australia's future energy security and the welfare of places like the Latrobe Valley are left to the boardrooms of Paris, Tokyo and Hong Kong?
The Minister for the Environment and Energy has the call.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for Melbourne for his question, because it's been 690 days since I've ever had a question from the Labor Party, Mr Speaker. Now the member for Melbourne mentions a report. I did receive that report today, and I thank Jeff Cousins and Professor Jacobs and that group of eminent Australians. But I tell you, the hypocrisy of the Greens is amazing, because you know what they did when 750 people lost their jobs at Hazelwood with the announcement last week? They put out a Facebook post, Mr Speaker, and what did they say? This is great news, Mr Speaker. This is great news.
The Minister knows
Mr.
the rules
Speaker,
on the use of props.
Shame on the Greens. Shame on the Greens for celebrating the misery of the hard-working 750 Victorians who have now lost their jobs at Hazelwood. Now, Mr Speaker, we recognise that a lower emissions future is a good thing. We also recognise that energy security is our #1 priority. And rather than be irresponsible like those opposite who have joined with the Greens most recently in the Senate to support a motion encouraging the closure of coal-fired power plants, we will do everything to ensure the stability of our system. You see, for the Greens, it's all care and no responsibility. They don't care if we see a repeat of the blackout in South Australia. They don't care if there's gridlock on their roads. You don't care if Arium loses its power and Olympic Dam loses its power and the Port Pirie smelter loses its power and people are put out of work. You don't care because you only believe in ideology, Mr Speaker. The Greens only believe in ideology. And what is appalling is now we have seen a return of the Greens-Labor alliance. Those opposite are prepared to trade the blue-collar jobs in the regions, for Green votes in the city, Mr Speaker. They're prepared to trade blue-collar jobs in the regions for Green votes in the city. And where do we see that? We saw that in a motion, Mr Speaker. The motion was in the Senate on the 13th of October, which had said the Greens and the Labor Party
The Minister will resume his
support.
seat. The member for Melbourne Port's on a point of order.
Mr Speaker, there's 30 seconds to
No,
go.
on a
On
point of
relevance, he
order.
might like to explain
Member
his
for
plan
Melbourne
for
can
jobs
resume
in the
his
valley
seat.
if he cares.
The Minister has the call.
Greens and the Labor Party, and I have a quote here from their Senate motion, want to support policy mechanisms to encourage the retirement of coal-fired power stations. Mr Speaker, only the Coalition cares about energy security. Only the Coalition cares about jobs in regional Australia, and only the Coalition will keep electricity prices affordable to all Australians.